I sometimes include acrylic ink in my artwork, but I realize not all of you have tried them. So in this video I'll show you what they're like and my experience with them, all the while making a color chart for my future reference. Here is a small selection of some of the acrylic inks that I have. The first type is this FW by Daler Rowney. Then we have this ink here from the brand Amsterdam. And we also have Liquitex also makes acrylic ink. There are other brands who make acrylic inks, but these are the 3 brands that I have tried so far. I just want to show you some of the things with acrylic ink. They tend to separate when they're left for a while. We can probably see it. Let's take a look at this one. Look how the pigment is settling down here at the bottom of the bottle. So this means that before we start using the ink, we have to shake the bottle really well to distribute all these lovely paint pigments evenly. This yellow one is also separating. They all do this. Some of them are where it's more obvious than others. Always remember to shake your ink really well. I want to explore the pigments in each of these inks, and I decided that I wanted to do it kind of in groups of color. So these are all my blue colored inks, and this is Payne's gray, the one over here, so it's not quite blue, but it's a dark gray color with a tendency towards blue or indigo blue. So I'm gonna be testing that one as well. I started by writing down the names up here and the brands of each of the inks so that I have a reference for later. And now I'm going to test each of the inks using a brush. I think I want to try and do different styles here. So I want to use the ink pure for one. Remember to shake it really well. So I mixed it really well, and it has kind of this dropper. Even just looking, some of these inks are a bit older, but even just looking at the dropper here, maybe you can also sense that it's kind of separating. It's a beautiful color, look at that. And I also want to add some water. So I have a brush here with just clean water, and I want to see how it flows out like that. And this is watercolor paper, so we can kind of sense that it's picking up the texture of the paper as well. And the pigment, this blue pigment, it's kind of settles in more into the grooves of the paper, giving it this granulating effect, which I think is really lovely. So definitely a nice looking ink. Let me try the next one. This is marine blue. Very, very dark. Very, very intense. Let me get a brush with clean water here and just put a bit down here. And let's see what happens when it flows out there. Beautiful. Very bluish green. Also beautiful granulating effects. And this one is turquoise. Gonna do the same thing here. Just gonna give it some water down here so it can run, and then I'm just gonna let it meet with this one. Beautiful. Just let it flow. Actually, it looks very similar to the one over here once it gets diluted with water. Now on to this one is processed cyan. So this is actually primary blue. Let's see how that one works out. Another beautiful blue. Actually, I think there's some pigment in here already. And I'm just gonna take some water down here and let it mingle up here and see what happens. Maybe I can get it to flow a little bit more down here so I can see how it looks. Yeah, and this last one, Payne's Gray. Again, very, very dark. And I'm going to take some clean water here and just give it a bit of a, see how it looks. Look at that, beautiful. Here it's actually very, very obvious of this of the pigment settling into the grooves. Well, actually all of them we can see it. This paper is not that rough. It's in fact fairly smooth, but if we had a cold press watercolor paper, we would have a lot more of this effect. Now I'm gonna let this dry, and then I have a really good and quick reference for the future that I can just pick out whenever I want to choose a type of blue ink to work with. I can quickly pull out this thing from my library and see, oh yeah, this is how it looks when it's undiluted, and this is how it reacts when it gets diluted with water. Now that I have done all the tests on all my different types of ink, here I have a very nice library that I can quickly reference to see how the paint will act and how it will separate into different textures and grooves of either the canvas or the paper I'm working on. A lot of my students, both in person and online, have a strong desire to loosen up their painting style, and ink is a great option. So if you want to paint looser and more freely, you can download my free guide. It has my absolute best and proven ways to loosen up your painting style. See the link below this video. And if you want to learn more about how to use acrylic inks in an actual landscape painting, check out this video.